Welcome to the stream, guys. So let's take a look at SNDL today, baby. Sundial growers. So it seems like AMC is taking a pullback right now, and I have a few options and shares on Sundial, and it looks like Sundial is getting some action, possibly some BlackBerry. Let's see what AMC is doing here with the pullback holding up here at 56. Um, let's see some GTTT. So these are some of the top movers right now. GTTT, we see the money flooding into GTTT, SNDL, and some BlackBerry. Let's see what GameStop is doing right now. So GameStop is holding here at 269. I'm getting some love here today on my account on Sundial. I went into this position on Tuesday. So let's take a look here at Sundial. Let's take a look at the 5-minute chart. It looks like it's having some problems here, but holding steady above the gap here. What we don't want to see is for it to pull back here. Let's see the order book here, holding strong here at 140. We see a lot of buyers here at 140, looking pretty strong. I'm getting some nice love here on a Sundial. Let's see what else is moving. I also have some Nvidia here. Nvidia pretty sideways, not doing very much. These are some of my other positions here. Let's see here. Schlumberger getting a nice pop-up here. Let's see Sundial here at 140, looking steady. I'm looking for Sundial to, go back up to all-time or recent all-time highs of around $4. Let's take a look here. We see some news. We're having a little pullback here, 138. Order book looks strong. Now we see some more sellers here at 138, overwhelming the buyers. Ooh, we're getting a nice backlash here. And it looks like we're washing off here, and we might be going back down to somewhere around the 112. This is a very bearish engulfing candle here. Let's see what the overall market is doing here. The Qs looking steady here. Well, it gapped down, not so steady, but I'm trying to pull back. If we take a look at the VIX, VIX is creeping up here at 19. There was some negative catalyst yesterday after the market closed. Bonds are going to be unwinding. Bonds are unwinding from the Federal Reserve since they started to obtaining these high yield bonds since the pandemic, and it looks like they're going to start unwinding slowly. Take a look at some AMC. What is AMC doing here? Let's see what the news is saying here. AMC today with some negative news, possibly offering new shares. I'm going to be live streaming for just 1 hour, just the open. Thank you guys for those of you who just join in.
Against it. Here's a euro yen chart, 4 years. You can see how strong the euro is against the yen, and the dollar index is trying to make a bit of a comeback here, but do remember, the euro figures highly in its valuation. The yen does not. Carl, back to you.
All right, Rick, thank you very much. Rick Santelli. Still to come from theater openings to the AMC frenzy. A lot to talk about with the CEO of IMAX, Rich Gelfond. That's coming up later this morning. Dow's down 250. We have a halt on AMC for volatility, which is now back to 50. We're back in a moment.
The Bond Report is brought to you by PIMCO, a global leader.
So AMC seems to be halted here at $50 here. Potential buy the dip, I don't know. I certainly didn't get in time, so I got in at a better price here at SNDL, so this is where I'm looking at for a better play here. Let's take a look at a Clove here. Let's see if Clover Health with a nice pop-up here to 1050, now pulling back to 910. We're also seeing the VIX pop here. This is hitting my 10-day moving average here. Let's see if it continues to give us a nice bullish candle here. If so, not looking good for the markets. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ, pulling back here. And let's take a look at the SPY. The SPY here holding up on my 10-day moving average. We're seeing here my account pulling back heavily as SNDL just going sideways. Let's see what GTTT is doing. GTTT, the winner here from them all right now. Beautiful gap up here. Nice rally yesterday. Beautiful gap up. And now we're at 382. I posted this one about 2 weeks ago on my Discord. Let me just pull that up. So if you're on the Discord on May 19th, I put GTTT, penny stock, possible squeeze coming, high risk. This is some of the watch lists that I put on May 19th. And if we take a look at that, we take a look at GTT, we see here on May 19th, the stock was trading around 150. And then just about 2 weeks, this is what we have. So I definitely put this one on the trade alert. GTT, possible squeeze coming on May 19th.
On AMC Entertainment, that stock is down 22% right now, back under $50 a share. We've got more Squawk on the Street on the other side of this break as we continue to watch the meme trading.
Don't like surprises? Proactive notifications from
I might take a look at some GTT options here. Let me see what's going on. Do you guys think this is a buy the dip for AMC here, or you think it's the rally is over? Evan, the charts on the left is trading view. So this is I just changed the colors. I use trading view for the charting. AMC here. If AMC collapse here to my 10-day moving average somewhere between 25 and 30, options are definitely getting cheap. Oh, let me see here. June 11th, maybe looking for a bounce, dead cat bounce here. Might be going for some June 11th options. Implied volatility is super high though. Might buy 2 weeks out, not sure. So we're seeing AMC here taking a nosedive. So I have two portfolios here. The top portfolio is an aggressive trading account that I use. And I use leverage and options. So this is an extremely volatile account I have. So you're going to see some massive swings here. I mean, I have usually 10 to 20% swing days here on this account. And then on my long-term investing account, it's a little bit more controlled, easier account, and steady. So I have a much easier strategy here for the long-term account. And for the trading account, very aggressive. Let's take a look at some BlackBerry. BlackBerry here at 17. I'm liking the action here in BlackBerry. Let's take a look at some options. I mean, all options are going to be through the roof right now, but maybe give it another 30 minutes for the opening to cool off. So I'm looking at right now some options here on BlackBerry. We see 750% volatility. It's very high. So what we're looking for right now, if you want to do an options play, is we need to look at maybe a day or two of consolidation just for the volatility to collapse. All right, let's see.
And I think he's going to do that. Adam is a fantastic manager, but what he really knows how to do is run a stock, and it's simply brilliant.
That's Kramer with us yesterday on Tech Check talking about AMC and the prospect or the likelihood perhaps of them eventually buying a rival chain like IMAX. To respond to that, perhaps, let's bring in Rich Gelfond, the CEO of IMAX, who joins us this morning. Richard, it's always good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here, Carl. Thanks for having me. So I love.
All right, so we're in some. No, I was going to say we're in some extraordinary times, and I'm sure you heard that bite. I mean, what is your reaction to something like that?
Yeah, I mean, IMAX isn't for sale. Adam's a very good friend of mine. We talk all the time. But I do think Jim made a really excellent point that he's got all that cash and he's got lots of things to do with it. And, no one's talked about, who benefits besides Adam and AMC, but they're one of our largest partners in the world. We have a backlog of 100 theaters set to open with them. Now that they're flush with cash, part of reopening those theaters is renovating them. So that's all really good for IMAX. Their former parent company, Wanda, sold their stake. They're our biggest partner in the world in China. That's good for IMAX. Adam said publicly that he may acquire other theater chains or other theaters. In fact, I can confirm that he's looking at some smaller things to do, and we're included in that, putting IMAX theaters in some of those complexes he's looking at. So, whatever's going on in the world and whether it's rational or not, I know that one beneficiary of it has been IMAX and our shareholders.
Yeah. I know you were on Squawk a few days ago and you were talking about the summer slate. Quiet Place 2, we got F9, Jungle Cruise, Black Widow, you name it. I wonder, at what point do you think we will have enough signposts to know what summer box office is, in fact, going to look like?
So I think we have enough, Carl, to know globally what it's going to look like. And as I've said, before on CNBC, when you look at the openings in places like China and Japan and Korea, it's consistent with previous years when things were healthy. And in some cases, like China, Chinese New Year's was 30% up from its record year. So we have those data points. Unfortunately, North America was slower to reopen. And as you point out, there's a lot of good films to come, but most of those films really come out in the third and fourth quarter. So I think if you're going to look at comps on a per film basis, so like Memorial Day weekend, which just passed, was the best opening since before the pandemic, we're seeing a trend. But if your question is really when do things get back to normal in North America, I think it'll be more like the third and fourth quarter. That's when we have Bond, Top Gun Maverick, Dune, a couple Marvel films. That's when it'll really be back to normal.
Hey, Richard, it's David. I was listening to you list all the ways you benefit perhaps from AMC. Obviously, maybe you want to become a meme stock too, but when you question whether it's rational, I mean, there is no question, is there here, Richard? This is irrational. You know your way around fundamental valuation. There's no possible way you can argue that this company was worth, at the open today, $30 billion. That's not enterprise value. That's just equity value.
So, David, I know you for a long time. We're not 25 years old. We do know what traditional methods of valuation are. And there's no question this does not fit into the traditional valuation box. And I give Adam credit. This morning, he even said that in his own statement. However, it's a new world, which I don't pretend to understand. And there are different factors. And myself, on my own investment side, I've missed a lot of the trends because of my older ways of thinking about these things. But, there are new models, and I can't opine on how they fit or not.
Come on, Richard. Older ways of thinking about things are just what you think about multiple to earnings and multiple to revenues and per theater revenues. And yeah, those are the old ways, but those are the ways you actually value a business. If you were ever to consider buying it, which of course everybody who's buying a share is in fact doing, I don't know. I mean, all right, I'm an old guy, you're an old guy, so what? We don't get it anymore?
Yeah, maybe we don't get it. I mean, my stepson said to me at the beginning of the year, "You're an idiot. You should put all your money into Tesla." And I said, you know what? It's had such a run. It trades more than so many auto companies put together. There's going to be competition. And he looked at me and laughed and shook his head and said, "You just really don't get it." So, and what percentage gain did I miss out on, David? So I can't disagree with you based on traditional valuation matrix. It doesn't make sense to me, but the market's in a different place right now.
Well, you were directionally correct, Rich. Ford has well outpaced Tesla since last July, but certainly the year to date. Rich, we look forward to a lot more conversations about these amazing times in your industry. Great to see you. Thanks.
Thanks, Carl and David. Appreciate it.
We'll have a lot more on AMC and the markets when we come right back. Don't go away.
All right, we're seeing sundial growers here. We had a gap up followed by a massive pullback here, hitting my 10-day moving average on the 5-minute chart and not holding above 123. So we'll see if it consolidate around this 130 area, and then we see a nice rally, end of the day rally towards, going higher, 150, possibly 175. We see the volume here coming up. Let's see on the daily. On the daily, we see an inflow of volume coming in and slightly dying off. So this could possibly be cooling off in the next few days. Let's see how BlackBerry is doing. Let's see which one of these stocks is the one getting all the love. We see GTT holding very nicely. Bed Bath & Beyond doing a nice move yesterday. And sure enough, today it cooled off. Let's see, AMC holding at 46 here. It seems like AMC still halted. Yes, AMC still halted here. And we're off. So now AMC here holding 47. Let's see what the order book looks like. We see more sell side here. It's definitely a fight. Things are definitely cooling off now. BlackBerry here pulling back to 16, 19, and now back up to 17. AMC here. So the news from AMC seemed like they're getting ready to file new shares. They haven't filed the shares yet. But that seems to be the case. It seems like it's going to be around the block, and this is why we're having this AMC sellout. Let's see SNDL. I like this. I like this price action here, holding above 125.
Well, Carl, this is one of those numbers where I so enjoy bringing it out. You know, the service sector is the biggest chunk of the U.S. economy, and this particular number started in July of 1997, and its current read for May is 64.0. It has never been higher. All-time high. The all-time high was in March at 63.7. This 64 usurps that. So if you're looking for the reopening to gain horsepower, here's one number that the equity market should really pay attention to. Morgan, back to you.
Rick Santelli, thank you. We are 30 minutes into the trading session, and we are going to get to AMC in just a moment. But here are three other big movers we're watching today. We're going to start with GM. That's getting a boost after saying it expects financial results for the first half of 2021 to be, quote, significantly better than forecast earlier. That stock's up nearly 4% right now. Plus, Tilray flying high. Get it? Cantor Fitzgerald upgrading that stock to overweight, rolling out new estimates following the completion of its merger with Afria. You can see those shares are up 7%. And finally, cybersecurity firm FireEye plunging, announcing the sale of its security software products unit to PE firm Symphony Technology. That is for about $1 billion. You can see those shares are down about 14%. Carl?
All right, Morgan, we got to pay attention to AMC. Shares are volatile today. We've already gotten a halt on volatility as they filed to sell up to 11.5 million shares. Christina Partsenevelos is looking at some of the madness and some of the pain today. Hi, Christina.
Hi, Carl. It's just a big question. How much pain can one person take? Clearly a lot if you're a short seller of the so-called meme stocks. 10 of the most shorted stocks brought losses for those short sellers to the tune of almost $5 billion in one day. AMC, for example, closed up 95% higher yesterday, causing $2.75 billion in losses for anyone who bet the stock would fall. And that was just yesterday. BlackBerry caused about $681 million of losses for the shorts. And today, it's already the most active stock on the New York Stock Exchange. And lastly, GameStop, of course, a Reddit favorite, caused about $414 million in losses. Chump change, right? And despite the rally in the meme companies, the short sellers continued to hang on by boosting their bearish positions. According to Goldman Sachs, short selling positions continue to climb for 9 straight weeks. Short interest, in particular in AMC, hovered around 20% on Tuesday. You'd think maybe they'd drop it. No, short interest was about 19% on Wednesday, so they're still going strong. There's even a website titled highshortinterest.com, where many retail traders frequent. Workhorse Group is the #1 shorted electric vehicle stock right now, along with Lordstown and Nikola, all stocks that popped nearly 20% yesterday. So these retail investors are cheering the gains with hashtags on Twitter like AMC Strong and Occupy Wall Street AMC, as the relentless winning streak in these meme stocks continues to draw blood for short sellers. Back to you guys.
Occupy Wall Street. I haven't heard it used that way. That's one blast from the past right there. Christina, thank you.
Thank you.
After leading the meme stock charge, AMC down this morning after selling off 11.5 million of its shares. The SEC expected to release a report this summer assessing the retail investment boom. In the meantime, though, here to comment on what we can expect on that regulation front, amid everything we're seeing in terms of trading activity, the former chief of the SEC's Office of Internet Enforcement, John Reed Stark. John, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks. Nice to be here, Morgan.
And we're talking about it in the last hour, the fact that there are arguably some similarities to the late 1990s. I want to bring that up to you, given the fact that your tenure was from 1998 to 2009. I mean, have we seen this playbook before? Maybe not in terms of social media, but in terms of chat rooms and the role the internet has played in day trading?
Sure. You remember those chat rooms and those message boards. I can't decide whether I'm experiencing nostalgia or PTSD looking at all this data. It's crazy the way people can really band together. And historically, during the 80s and the 90s, during the 90s and the early 2000s, there was really more about spreading false information than bona fide information. In this situation, I don't know that anyone's being accused of spreading any false information. They're just saying, hey, let's all get together and buy this stock because we think it's great and we'll drive it up. And that sort of momentum investing has nothing to do with the traditional investing that David Faber was talking about earlier, which I'm also a big fan of. But there are people that do it. They hear that Warren Buffett is buying Apple stock, so they go buy Apple stock. You know, that might be a good plan, a good way to invest.
Yeah, I mean, the more volatile some of these stock moves are, do you think the more the SEC feels compelled to investigate, gather data, and build some sort of case? And if so, what would that case be?
Absolutely. When these kinds of headlines occur, there's a team of SEC enforcement people already investigating. They'll probably put this information into the one they've already been investigating with the GameStop activity. What they'll do is they'll look for false statements. The way the SEC can bring cases here, again, is to find somebody who's uttering some sort of false statement amidst all the chaos and bedlam of those Reddit boards. I think that's sort of trying to find a firefly in a tornado. I don't think it's a very easy job. I've had to do that back when I was chief at the SEC, and it's very challenging. You might also find people who are promoting the stock and are paid to promote that stock and not necessarily disclosing the nature and amount of that compensation. Also interesting this morning, what kind of caught my eye was AMC's disclosure where they said, look, we don't think anybody should be investing this way. We don't recommend that people buy our stock. That's straight from the Warren Buffett playbook. Remember, he used to write in his letters, I wouldn't recommend that anyone buy our stock, including anyone in our family. But at the same time, AMC is also offering securities and telling the public essentially that these are good securities to buy, I'm sure with lots of risk disclosure. So that might also catch the SEC's eye. And then also if any regulated persons, any regulated investment advisor, a broker or someone like that is participating for their own gain. Sometimes they have higher fiduciary obligations.
But I mean, we've already, it's David, we've already come through the GameStop phenomenon a number of months ago. We assume the SEC took a close look. Obviously, you had some things involving Robinhood there, but overall, and settlement questions, but overall, nothing that I'm aware of, at least at this point, are you, that came out of that specifically. Maybe it's just too early.
No, I think you're absolutely right, David. I think that, and that's what I think most people predicted who really kind of follow the SEC or work there. They have to go through these investigations. They have to look for it. But they also have this really terrific whistleblower website, and anybody can email them in, even anonymously. So sometimes you get a whistleblower, you get somebody insider, you get someone with some really inculpatory information who passes that on to the SEC, and they kind of make an example in there. So they're looking to try to find a case. And certainly it's a little different right now than it was at GameStop because we have a new chairman, not a new director of the Division of Enforcement, but we do have a new chairman. And hopefully this chairman will get active. You know, I worked for maybe 6 or 7 different chairmen, and I think Arthur Levitt did it best when he traveled the country. And David, I'm sure you remember this because In my office, we used to watch you. We called you the brain like everybody else. And Arthur Levitt walked around the country telling everybody how to invest, how to look at the value of investing, how to look someone in the eye when they give you a recommendation. And hopefully someone at the SEC will start saying that again, both with GameStop, and I think there are a lot of parallels to crypto, except crypto to me is a lot worse because in that situation, it's the essence of ransomware. So the country is kind of falling apart from ransomware all because of crypto. And the main reason people own crypto is because they think someone else will buy it and make the price higher. There's
right.
No other
well, that's part of the story here. Although I would say, John, you know, it's funny because another thing we know the SEC is looking at are these total return swaps, which takes me back to Archegos. I mean, there you had Discovery and Viacom moving up enormously, again, defying all fundamental reasons. And this was a highly sophisticated investor engaging, frankly, in very similar behavior that we're seeing from the Reddit crowd.
It's, yeah, you know, and I remember being at the SEC and looking at all of those kinds of situations. And the SEC in these situations, they need to find a false statement, somebody saying something that's false or misleading people by not saying something that's true. And again, taking it back to crypto, you have a lot of people promoting crypto, but they're really undercutting the primacy of their own offering documents, which might have 30 or 40 pages of risk disclosure that they're not talking about. So I agree with you. I think these cases are very tough to build. The SEC has not brought many cases, for example, against short sellers for spreading false information, because again, it's often opinion. Hey, we look at this stock and we think it's terrible. And that's an important role that short sellers play in the market.
Yeah, I mean, you just made a couple comments about crypto, so I sort of get a sense about where you stand on that. I mean, I realize it's categorized, it's classified as a commodity, so it falls under the CFTC as it currently stands. That said, the SEC is taking a closer look at that too, especially when you're talking about the possibility of something like a Bitcoin ETF. What do the rules of the road need to be around cryptocurrencies to get someone like yourself or maybe more institutional investors, for example, on board?
It would take quite a lot, Morgan, because first of all, the places that these cryptos trade, they have no transparency, no record-keeping requirements, no auditing by the SEC, none of the basic registration requirements that really make investing in the U.S. so terrific and such a wonderful place for people to seek capital. So that's a huge problem. And, you know, the volatility is unbelievable. And also, but what a lot of people miss is that there's no utility in Bitcoin or any other crypto. The only reason people own it is hopefully it'll go up because someone else will buy it. But in the meantime, the only way that ransomware succeeds is because of crypto. So I work with a lot of ransomware victims who are paying upwards around 5, 10, and higher amounts of millions of dollars in terms of making payments for ransomware. And we've seen it with hospitals in Ireland. We've seen it with the Colonial Pipeline. We've seen it with now our food. This morning was reported our transportation. So ransomware is hitting everywhere, and they're all collecting it in Bitcoin, and because there's no way they're going to get caught. So you're also enabling, at least with GameStop and AMC, you're not necessarily hurting anyone, and it's kind of caveat emptor. But with crypto, you are really hurting a lot of people. And that sort of risk, I don't think, is a good one for society. And I still haven't learned, and I've been studying this stuff very carefully, both as a Duke Law professor and also as a consultant who works with a lot of these cryptocurrencies, exactly what the benefit is to individuals that outweighs the risk that it's causing to our society.
Yeah, I mean, we could just dedicate a whole extra block, a whole extra segment to the discussion around ransomware. But John, in the meantime, thanks for joining us and sharing your insights. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Great to be with you guys this morning.
Well, we are getting some news out of Twitter. And for that, let's go to Julia Borston. Julia.
Good morning to you, David. Well, Twitter is unveiling its long-awaited first-ever subscription offering. They're calling it Twitter Blue. And while Twitter says its core service will always be free, they say this is designed for the people who use Twitter most. Features include the ability to undo a tweet after you've sent it, a reader mode to make it easier to follow long threads on Twitter, folders to organize saved tweets, plus what the company calls other perks, such as app icons and color themes for the app. Now, Twitter Blue's first iteration will start rolling out today in Australia and Canada for the equivalent of roughly $3 a month. No word yet on exactly how much it'll cost here in the U.S. when it does become available here. And the company says it will add more features and perks in response to user feedback on the app. Now, this all follows Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey saying last July that they were looking at subscriptions as a way to diversify revenue. Dorsey said they see a world where subscription as well as commerce is complementary to the company's core advertising business. Guys, back over to you.
You know, Julia, so this has been talked about for a long time, and already a lot of the response on Twitter has been only Twitter would charge you $3 a month for what some argue is basic functionality and the ability to edit a tweet. But I also wonder, you know, it's not like the advertising market is in a downtrend. What does it say, do you think, that they decided to charge?
Well, look, I think that in terms of there are a bunch of different questions here. One is the fact that they're charging for this at all. You know, Carl, you and I have talked a lot about sort of that impulse to want to be able to undo tweets or delete tweets. And a lot of people may be interested in that who may not be willing to pay $3 a month. So the question is, how many people really are in that core Twitter user base that they'd be willing to pay to have that additional functionality, also, you know, reading threads, et cetera. So these are people who are really on Twitter all day long, including a lot of us here at CNBC that use Twitter that much. But I think that in terms of the decision to charge, this is something that they've been talking about a lot. You know, it's not just about undoing tweets. It's this idea that they want to create multiple different subscription services. They could have, you know, a service where you can get extra content from people who are creating a lot of content on Twitter. And then also they've talked a lot about commerce. So I don't think that this necessarily has to do with the advertising market as much as it does the need to stop being so reliant on advertising. The other thing I'd point out, Carl, in terms of reliance on advertising is Twitter has mostly been a brand advertising business. And that is the type of advertising that really suffered during the pandemic. They've made a big push to really invest in their direct response advertising. That's where you can click, get more info. It's not about just seeing an ad for a brand like Coca-Cola. So I think they really understand that going forward, if Twitter is going to massively grow its business, it needs to be about a lot more than just brand advertising in particular.
Yeah, that is interesting. Shares back to 58.5 is going to take you back to late April. Fascinating move, finally, Julia. Thank you, Julia Borston. As we go to break, take a look at the roadmap for the rest of the hour, including a lot more on the madness of AMC. Already halted once in the early hours of trading.
Plus, United Airlines is going supersonic. We'll explain what that means.
And venturing to venues. No, Venus. There's a little misspelling there. Okay, the NASA Administrator Bill Nelson is going to join us later this hour on All Things Space. We got a lot more Squawk in the Streets still ahead. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, so now we're seeing things cool off here. Sundial at 132, holding strong above 125. I like to see that. And AMC halted around 41. It was halted somewhere around here, around, what is the top of this candle? 4620. So it halted around 46.20. It opened and gapped up and ran to about 57, 56-ish, and now trading around 53.34. If we take a look at BlackBerry here gapping up, going up to low 20s, pulling back here, now settling around 17. So today could be somewhat of a consolidation day. Possibly continuing the bull rally until tomorrow. AMC filing for that share offering. Obviously, there's no telling what AMC can do. And just like we've seen before previously, when we're seeing like Nano Dimensions doing share offerings, people were just buying the dip, and they did like about something like 2 or 3 share offerings in a span of 2 months. So it's going to be interesting to see if AMC this is a buy the dip opportunity and it holds. And every time they do a share offering, if it'll continue to go higher, or if that's the last of it. And we're starting to see some of the other stocks get some of that momentum now that AMC is pulling back. And we're seeing GTT Communications here at 436, holding very nicely. We had a gap up here, huge rally to about 480, pulling back, but holding steady above $4. Schlumberger is another one that I trade, and Schlumberger looking good here.
Cryptocurrency Dogecoin on the move this morning as it begins its first day of trading on Coinbase. The news comes as more and more lesser-known coins gain adoption on the crypto craze, and crypto trading firms like our next guests add dozens of more coins to their platforms. Joining us to discuss is Stephen Ehrlich, a Voyager Digital co-founder and CEO. Stephen, I thank you for being with us. I wonder if you can start by describing Doge in terms of where it ranks among net buys and whether or not it's truly taking away share from other coins.
Well, thank you for having me this morning. It is one of our top coins now. It's our second most popular coin over the last week. And in the last 24 hours, it is the most popular coin we have of people buying. A little rotation coming out of Bitcoin and Ethereum and going into Doge. But it is our number one coin in the last 24 hours.
Do you think it's a unique coin given its origins, the way it's been marketed? I guess what is original about it, given all the other coins that you have to keep track of and add?
Yeah, look, I think there is a definite possibility that Doge can be used in a payment mechanism down the line as we expand this marketplace more. And I think people are seeing that little bit of opportunity in using it there. It's cheaper to move on the protocols and easier to move. So I think there is that opportunity that people are saying that it's a possibility that this can be used in commerce down the line here.
To a guest that we just had on, John Reed Stark, who basically talked about the fact that Bitcoin is used for ransomware, and that other than that, many of the cryptocurrencies don't necessarily have a utility or can be valued in that sense. Obviously, this is a hot topic for debate, and we've heard both sides of it. I want to get your take.
Yeah, look, I think there has been illicit activities using cash for years, too. So I think I understand the side of the argument that it's used for ransomware. Those just become something that becomes really good media talking points. I think there are coins. Look at Ethereum on its own right as the smart contract that is now being used for NFTs. And I think there's opportunities. We're just taking a market that was, say, baseball cards that was physical and turning it into NFTs. So Ethereum has use cases for it that's starting to happen, utility. Some of the other tokens behind there too. Polkadot is similar to Ethereum. It's a smart contract that can be used and is also cheaper because the gas fees to move are much cheaper using Polkadot. And Algorand is now being used to develop securities on that too. So I think you're starting to see a lot of utility across the way. And now I'm down in Miami here for the Bitcoin conference and meeting a lot of people, and I'm starting to see some projects come out on some of these protocols.
And I have a feeling, I realize we're still in early days, and there's a lot to be decided in this industry, or this asset class, I should say, more broadly. But in general right now, we can talk about some of the crazy moves we've seen and stuff like, for example, Dogecoin or Bitcoin or Ethereum. But who's actually making money on this in terms of just the infrastructure, the different companies that are involved? What does that look like right now, especially given the fact that we do have these pretty hefty fees that are attached with trading?
Well, look, I think we've just finished our first quarter. We had a really nice quarter with 50% operating margins, highest revenue ever. The trading firms are making money, but I think individuals, we're seeing a lot of our individuals who got in early, retail investors, because we're a retail platform, are making money on a lot of the trading as well. So I think there's a mindset that retail, it might be losing here, but our retail consumers are net positive, and we've created a lot of wealth for consumers using cryptocurrency. The other piece of creating wealth and with cryptocurrencies, and we bring up Doge a lot, is the opportunity for people to earn interest or on staking rewards on the coins that we offer. And, people are gaining wealth that way too. So not everybody, I know there's the mindset that the market's been down, consumers are losing money, but we're seeing a lot of positive accounts and positive value for consumers.
Yeah, the carry on some of these coins is something that we've tried to remind viewers about. It's not the main story, but it is an edge that you can find if you're clever enough. We'll continue to watch it with your help. Thanks so much. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
As we head to break, watch oil. That's climbing higher again, touching its highest level since 2018 earlier in the session. WTI crude specifically we're talking about. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
All right, so we saw Bed Bath & Beyond here pulling back from yesterday's high. Looks like Bed Bath & Beyond, people rotating out of that ticker symbol. AMC gapped up here after the halting and now pulling back once again. So the winners right now is GTTT. We're seeing some nice bullish uptrend and holding steady. SNDL doing okay. SNDL doing okay here and currently trading at 135. Guys, I appreciate you guys stopping by for the morning open here. I will be doing a lot more live streams and full day live streams. I just wanted to do a quick live stream here at the open, see some of the action. Might come back towards the end of the close. If not, you might catch me tomorrow live streaming all day. Make sure to check out the Discord if you'd like to see my live trades as I put some of my trades here. This is my trading account. So if you would like to know what I'm in, make sure to check the links in the description. And yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for stopping by. That's going to wrap it up for the morning open here for the first hour. Thank you, guys. And hopefully SNDL gets some love and we see it rally to $2.